when all of us applied, the first placement report was out there in open and it was audited. So the fact that it was audited, it gave some sort of assurance. I was more inclined towards the MUIF, which is Masters Union Investment Fund. So I just talked to a couple of folks who were there in cohort 1 and I just asked them that are students actually getting the money to invest in startups?
We have a very fun-filled video that we are going to have for you. I am going to explore what early VC firm roles look like after you're done with your B school. I have these 4 young boys sitting in front of me. I'll start with you. Who am I talking to today and what are we going to do today?
So my name is Rishikesh and I think we're all gathered here to talk about our own individual experiences.
My name is Ronak Jain. As Rishikesh mentioned, we are all recent fresh graduates and just have explored into our post-MBA job. So yeah, looking to have a fruitful discussion.
I'm Sahil. Main thing we have gathered is to advise the next people who are looking forward to get into VC space, how to crack that space and how does the actual space look like. Is that glamorous as it sounds or it's just a fluff?
This is Ronit. We are here to talk about the different roles. I typically belong from a different role from rest of the 3. So we'll speak about more in detail about that.
What exactly does a VC firm?
So VC firm helps a business grow, right? A business can essentially grow when there is labor and capital. And as far as the capital is concerned, if the founder has capital, then he puts the capital in by himself or he has the option to seek capital elsewhere. That's where the VCs come in, where by way of providing money for the businesses to grow and probably at inordinate scale. Even if you have like a great idea, but you probably don't have the funds, the idea could go to waste, but because you have money coming in and conviction in how the business would pan out is where the synergies kind of lie.
Did you feel that, because you guys had finance background, you learned it, it helped you in grasping with the kind of things that you do?
In some areas in my job, yes, finance is involved, but I don't think like in my team there are engineers and then there are people who have done normal commerce graduation, or even I've seen in VCs that there are people with arts background or humanities background. So I don't think your background matters a lot as long as you know how to analyze a startup, how to analyze a deal, what to look at, because finance, the kind of finance that's involved in VC ecosystem, at least personally, I feel that you can learn on the job as well.
It's kind of mixed skill set that you need. There's one aspect in a VC firm that is operations, which is like, for me as a chartered accountant, it was quite cakewalk. But for an engineer, it would be quite difficult to understand at the first place because it's involved dealing with lawyers, dealing with government authorities where you are setting up your fund, or on a day-to-day basis you are dealing with your trustees. Contrary or parallel to side, my firm generally deals with deep tech investments. Bit difficult for me to understand at first hand how the satellite works. Everyone has different skill set in a VC firm and they work together to pull out what they are doing.
When you were looking for the B schools that you want to get into, was Masters Union in consideration because you saw that, it has given these numbers out in the open and we probably can be in the same ship?
The numbers, of course, provided the assurance that there's a top-notch level of B school out there. The curriculum that was published, we've even spoken with our seniors and the practical experience they were getting. Honestly, that was ideally enough for a person to join our cohort 3 that was there. So the curriculum is itself actually enough for Masters Union. For students to join it if they are not looking just for a job but as a wholesome career out there.
The fact that it was audited, it gave some sort of assurance. I was more inclined towards the MUIF, which is Masters Union Investment Fund, because I wanted to eventually get into VC space or, let's say private markets for that matter. So I just talked to a couple of folks who were there in cohort 1 and I just asked them that, is it what they're showing on their website? Like, is it true? Are students actually getting the money to invest in startups? And the feedback I got was that it's correct. And then students have the authority and liberty, and that's when I decided at least I'll have this experience plus my pre-MBA experience to sort of get me a new job post my MBA.
Did you make a conscious choice of doing an MBA because you wanted to get into a VC firm?
I got interested into VC while I was building the startup here. We have a venture initiation program in Masters Union where, as a part of the curriculum, every student has to build at least the MVP of a particular startup. So I was working in a startup which was in a relatively different space called religion tech, fed tech. We were providing online puja booking services for temples, for the devotees, and we onboarded a few temples from Rishikesh, Haridwar. When we built the MVP, the minimum viable product, and we rolled it out, we got a few users. And we got the opportunity here from Masters Union to, present it to 100 plus VCs. Then we reached out to VCs like IPV and RoX and Waterbridge, and the way they evaluate the startups and the decisions they take, that really made me curious to enter into this venture capital space.
I was least bothered about finance. So I was not looking into whatever is its private markets, public markets. But when I got into Masters Union, its curriculum mostly focused on startups, how the startups works. There is a subject called fundraising for startups. So these kind of subjects which were related to my field, which was finance, and they were focusing on VC industry. The VIP program and the MUIF that we were into it, that really helped us in understanding this space more clearer.
What were you doing before coming in and doing your MBA from this particular B school?
So I'm a chartered accountant by profession. I had close to 5 years of work experience before I decided to jump into the MBA bandwagon. I wanted to experience the more front-end space, so to say, experience how businesses function. So in that sense, I felt like an MBA would be like a good route to take. And I think that kind of panned out well for me.
I worked in KPMG for over 6 years. I'm a chartered accountant too, and I was into corporate and international tax advisory, more on the regulatory side. I was kind of bored with finance, actually, honestly. I want to do something on a creative side, like a marketing or something. But when I joined B school, I had in my mind that I would get into marketing. But honestly, looking at the peers who were already into marketing, coming with marketing experience, I cannot compete with these professionals in their domain. And when I learned about VC, I was totally amazed because it's an offshoot of finance. And honestly, it's not a desk job. It's kind of creative. You go out and meet people every day. You get on a call with founders, what they are building on a creative side. So it was a merger of creative side to the finance.
You have to say that there is some bit of marketing, some bit of sales involved in the VC job.
Yeah, I would say we scout investments. So sometimes it's inbound, sometimes it's outbound. You have to present yourself. It's a personal identity as well in the VC space and as a firm identity as well.
You also have worked with KPMG, if I'm not wrong. You also have had an experience of 5+ years. Yep. What exactly happens in a mind of a person who has already worked for 5 years?
I think it would be the mix of both the things. If I only said that I just wanted to learn and grow, that would be wrong. Obviously, I wanted to earn more as well. I joined KPMG straight after graduating, worked there for 2.5 years in audit, and that was offshore audit. So that was not something where I was, doing any value add for myself or for the team. So after a certain point, I've moved on from KPMG. Then I joined Clearwater Analytics. It's a fintech firm where I worked for a year and 3 months and then moved to Blackstone COE. Even when I was with Blackstone, I was applying to other companies. But then after a certain point, the only answer that I was getting that we cannot pay this much to just a graduate. So that's when I sort of decided that, okay, this is the time that I need to get my MBA done with. And then I can leverage my pre-MBA experience to get into a good post-MBA role.
How easy or difficult it is for people coming in from different batches to understand what goes in the VC world in Europe?
I think it's initiative also, right? I mean, if you are really interested in the startup space and trying to raise funds, that's like your first step to understanding how money can get through different means. You could bootstrap, you could raise equity, etc. So just that curiosity is like the first step towards understanding how the whole industry, and when I say industry, it's just not the VC industry, but the startup industry. I think both are very intertwined together. Yeah, I think that's like your first stage of getting into the VC space. I think a formal education really helps in the sense that there's a more structured approach to understanding how to go about learning different things.
Somebody who's graduating from a V school, what kind of a role can they expect from, any VC firm that they're getting?
I worked at Stride and my role and functions are related to the risk and portfolio monitoring section. What it essentially means is that for incoming and existing portfolio companies, check out the metrics and see if all things work out well or not? To kind of break it down into very simple terms.
So I joined GrowX Ventures as an associate in their investment team. The role is like a founder's office or chief of staff kind of role, where I end up doing everything. Even though it is into investments, but I get involved in each and every aspect of a VC firm, be it fundraising, be it operations, dealing with lawyers, reaching out to investors. Once a week, we have to go and get into mixers.
That's the best part. By the virtue of being his roommate, almost every Friday, he has a certain invite from a certain place.
Tell me some names.
So I am connected to, founder of Insurance Deco.
He has a DP with Vijay Shekhar Sharma.
Look also similar.
So that's a glamorous part to the VC.
How do we go about, scaling ourselves up within the organization?
If you're like sector agnostic, like you want to see all the sectors, then you can target firms, VC firms, which are more sector agnostic, right? You cannot just go to a consumer focused firm and say that I want to invest in B2B and e-commerce and other sectors as well. That does not work. Do your research properly, build your thesis on that sector. If you're, let's say, a fintech focused or a EV focused person, then you need to show a proof of work to the VC firm you're applying to. It's not only that you're saying that I know this sector. If you have helped a company in that sector before in your previous job, or if you were working in that sector, so you can showcase through that. That's how you will at least land a shortlist. And once you land a shortlist, once you get that interview call, then it's up to you how you can impress the interviewer with your knowledge, and then it's just a free-flowing discussion from there on the general VC and the startup ecosystem, VC world, and then obviously the sectors which you are more interested in.
What is the process like that you're following now to decipher whether you're going to go ahead with this individual, this founder, this company or not?
The deal has come inbound to me. I'll first read the pitch deck and try to understand first at my hand what is the person is trying to build. Then I get on a call with the founder to understand from his perspective what was his background, what was his thought process of building this business. At the same time, we try to gauge how good conviction the founder has, whether there's a team fit. So these kind of nuances, you first try to understand whether you should spend further time on this. Then after that, you try to break down their pitch deck on the marketing side, on their problem side, on their solutions side. Then the next problem is the solution that the person has built. Is it really a 10x better solution that is already available, the alternative that is available, or it's 10x cheaper? What the person is providing, what startup is building. So these are the aspects you try to break down the pitch deck, and then when you feel conviction, that you go and speak out to your partners. If they understand that yes, they should spend time on it, then afterwards they get on a call with founders and the daily meeting starts. Then sharing of term sheets and all those start. Then due diligence process happens whether they want to invest in the startup or not.
What are some of the things that you probably have learned during your 1.5 years that you've spent here that actually comes in handy for you guys when you go every day to work? Do you think that, the things that you have learned, you can actually use it on the ground? And is it kind of making you feel that, there was value in what you have studied?
I would have never learned a lot on marketing or for that matter, coding, right? No code tools, etc. It just kind of gives you the perspective that maybe you thought that this was as difficult or this required a lot of time or energy or money, but now that you know that something like that exists, it changes how you at a particular either a deal or an investment, etc.
There were a couple of practicums that we had wherein people from the industry were coming and teaching us and how the VC world operates in reality and not just textbook wise. So I think that sort of prepared me beforehand before I joined Stride post MBAs, and the things I sort of learned in those practicums I could see now in my day-to-day life. So those sort of things helped.
And did they tell you about the long hours?
No. My entire interview revolved around my portfolio. And portfolio is something our college helped us to build while we solved different cases. We had different case studies, and also particularly the VIP program, which I was heavily invested into the VIP program. And in my interview, I showed the product which I built, which actually impressed my interviewer, and that's what helped me. Even when I am now in my current job role, you have to independently, you are given a problem statement that you have to achieve certain cost savings by automating this, and how would you go about it? From that problem statement point to thinking about the solution, designing the solution, and end-to-end delivery of that solution. So that's the experience which I already had while I was building the startup here. So that's actually helping me.
If you can put some figures or numbers, probably not your exact salary, I'm not checking your bank accounts, but what is the range that people can look for when they're getting into a firm like this in different roles that you guys are?
If you're just a recent graduate out of B school with little to no relevant work ex, I mean, anything north of 15, you should be looking at that number, and then the pay eventually gets better as in when you start having experience, and then also the carry comes in. One is obviously your fixed and then your variable performance bonus. Then there is certain percentage that you get as part of the fund if the overall performance of the fund is above the certain rate which we call hurdle rate. So if we deliver a superior returns to our investors, then we also get some share of that the fund retains, and then the fund distributes it amongst the employees.
The fixed component would come anywhere between 20 to 30 lakhs. At an associate level, the performance bonus is something added on, and there is a carry component, which is the most glamorous part or the lucrative part to get into a VC.
What is the carry component?
So carry component is the profit the firm will make. It's the percentage of overall profit the firm will make eventually when it will sell off all the investment. It has a longer duration like ESOPs. It has a duration of 5 to 7 years. The amount that you will be making would be in, let's say, 1 crore or some couple of crores.
But you need to be in that firm and...
So it's not compulsory. I mean, it's like there's a cliff period for 2 years. After that, it will start accumulating. If you are 4 years, then and the total period of vesting is 7 years, then it would be like 4/7 of you will be getting the profit share, the carry share.
The good part of the product role is that in finance role, their incentives and everything are also dependent on how many good deals they are bringing in. So it's a little bit on the sales side as well. But for us, if you are able to deliver the roadmap, you have a particular roadmap and you are able to deliver the products as expected, you get the good incentives.
The market is dwindling. The kind of things that are happening every day in the share market is something that probably you guys are very closely looking into as well. The entire startup ecosystem, the drying funding that we have seen in the last couple of years. How safe is your job?
The startup market is slightly on the lower side as compared to a couple of years ago, but then it's not like you will lose your job because there are no good deals. There will be enough number of deals that you can always invest into, so that's not the case. But the only thing is, if you're not doing your due diligence correctly, if you're not doing your job correctly, then obviously it's not safe at any point. But then if you're doing everything that you are supposed to do, you are scouting deals, then there is no end to good deals that are there available in the market.
It's also cyclical, right? The economy is cyclical. So even if the economy is in a situation where things are not looking rosy, it kind of bounces back in a year or two. I think you've seen it with the whole COVID situation too, where there was a lot of pessimism whether we would bounce back. But I think it just goes to show that things kind of always get back to square one.
So you can't probably be in a VC firm for your entire life, right? I mean, you can. I mean, very well can, and it's a decision or choice that you can make. But what are the other avenues that you open for yourself?
So if you want to stay in the VC firm, then obviously you can go up the hierarchy from analyst to associate to principal, and then eventually the best that could be is partner, right? If in case you are looking to get exit opportunities, then there are opportunities in PE. Once you have worked in a VC ecosystem, then there are opportunities in IB, there are opportunities in consulting. So all those sort of industries sort of open gates for you. There might be a case that you, while working, you also thought through an idea and you want to build something now of your own, because now you feel that you have enough connections, enough networks with you who can help you along the journey. So you can obviously be a founder anytime.
A lot of B schools in the country, they don't place their students in the VC firms as such. How do you think Masters Union could actually bring these VC firms where you guys are placed in and got you guys placed there?
When you go to a B school, the general assumption is that you are at least hiring 4 or 5 folks, right? You can't go and not hire 4 or 5 or just hire a couple of folks. So, and then VCs generally don't have those many vacancies at like one particular time. So they might have 1 or 2 vacancies which they can fill through their network or through just reaching out to candidates externally through LinkedIn, and they do not feel the need to go to B school. So I think that was somewhat true that VCs generally don't hire. And coming to your second point, how Masters Union was more sort of successful in bringing a couple of VC firms to our campus was through the extracurriculars that we did apart from just the academics. So we had something extra to showcase on our CVs, and that's how a couple of VC firms, in fact more than that, came to our campus, and then that's how we all got placed.
So the trick is actually to show them that you have real life experience.
Something extra, just not your normal academics and just not a MBA degree.
We had something called a demo day somewhere around May, where 100 plus VCs came, and Masters Union, the top 11 startups, we were one of them, but top 11 startups from different sectors. Some from the food, some from cybersecurity, some from edtech. They pitched their startups, and some of them genuinely had a good product and some sort of sales to show also. So I think this was an event which actually sort of impressed some of the investors, if not all. I think this was something which impressed them, and given that not all B schools have the platform for the students to actually build something of their own. So yeah, I mean, this was something which was good.
And similarly, I think it's true for MUIF as well. I don't know how many B schools have an investment fund of their own wherein students are the one in charge. At MUIF, the main goal was never to earn money or you lose out on money. The main goal was that students learn through investing, when they invest in real startups, when they go out and scout deals. So I think that helps, and that at least helped me in my interview when I talked about my MUIF journey and the startups I reached out to. So yeah.
So one of the main skills that a person working in a VC firm should have is people skills. They should have the social energy to engage with a lot of people on weekly basis, on a daily basis. The other one is curiosity to learn anything and everything that comes to your plate. I come from finance background and have to learn about deep tech. So that's the major thing you can do to learn about all these things. So just curiosity to learn and people skills.
Thank you very much to all four of you for taking out time coming here after your offices were done. And probably you'll need a strong coffee now because we have spoken for a long time and we have kind of tried figuring out what a VC firm job looks like after somebody is done from their MBA journey. If you learned something, do tell us in the comments below. Do tell us if you want us to break down any further firms for you or the kind of jobs that you get after your B schools apart from the one that we did today. Do share this video with somebody who's interested in the world of VC and probably is looking forward to getting a job there as well. If you want to know more about the institute, there's a link in the description below. Go check that out and figure out if the program works for you or not. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us in today, and all the best for your respective careers.
Thanks.